welcome to this last discussion point on the theme of epistemic fallacy, which concerns managing researcher bias. So unlike a logical fallacy, which is an error in our argument, biases are predispositions or inclinations towards systematic errors of judgment. On the backdrop of information or knowledge that we accumulate over time in the form of strongly internalized assumptions, beliefs, or values that shape our preferences. The issue of managing bias in research is generally important, and it is important in critical realism specifically for at least three reasons. The first has to do with the increased complexity of the methods and modes of reasoning applied. Recall the previous video on abduction, retroduction, and retrodiction, which require creative leaps, if you will, that are then verified through additional means, but which nonetheless carry the risk of us finding what we wish to find in the data and give more weight to evidence that supports one explanatory avenue over another. The second reason concerns the mediated access to reality, if you recall the introductory video on epistemic fallacy. So all knowledge that we can achieve is filtered through the concepts and terminologies that we use, which may be subject to misinterpretation. And the third reason has to do with the values and purposes that most research philosophies subscribe to. If you recall the very first video in this series, critical realism strives for social emancipation and for an order of things that ought to be rather than is, and thus has a strong critical component. Yet this critical component has to be extended to self-criticism as well. Therefore, researchers should identify possible sources of bias in addition to those pertaining to their research philosophy, make their own assumptions explicit, those which are relevant for the phenomenon they are investigating, of course, and make their analytical processes clear and transparent. However, these are not one-time exercises and should not be left or dismissed until the end of a research project. So another distinction to be made here is between being reflective and being reflexive. The latter entailing a continuous introspection as we progress with our scientific inquiries. So merely stating one's positionality is not enough. We have to show how we managed these risks throughout. So in other words, we have to demonstrate reflexivity. And a few resources to help you with that. I'll leave you with them, and I hope you enjoyed.